Hi, welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And my goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content, especially to help you make the best decision for you and your family as to whether or not you want to watch a movie and spend your time and money doing so. And so today's review is especially important, and I'll tell you why. The name of the movie I'm reviewing is called Redeeming Love. This very unconventional romance is now in theaters nationwide. It's rated PG-13 and is 2 hours and 14 minutes. It's a pretty long movie. I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell, and I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, and I'll offer tips for parents. Heads up, this is not appropriate for kids, as well as movie lines and even recommendations for other films that I think that you might like if you like this one, or even you might like better than this one. All right, let's dive in. In a nutshell, clean romance. This is not, despite the Christian sounding title and the lovely movie poster. But I'll get into all of that here in just a few minutes. Redeeming Love is a story that takes place against the backdrop of the California gold rush of the 1850. The story centers on Angel, played by Abigail Cohen, who was sold into prostitution as a child. Well, there's your first heads up that this is not going to be just sweet romance. She has survived through hatred and self-loathing until she meets Michael Hosea, played by Tom Lewis. And then she discovers that there is brokenness and love that might be able to be healed. This story reflects the redemptive power of unconditional love and sacrificial love, with characters and circumstances relevant to the contemporary world. Well, that's the description by the movie studio. The film was written and directed by DJ Caruso, with screenplay contributions by Francine Waters, who wrote the original book. And no, I have never read the original book, but I hear that this movie sticks quite closely to the source material, for what that's worth. The book was actually inspired by the Old Testament story of the prophet Hosea and his wife Gomer. Now, just because it was based on a Bible story, again, doesn't necessarily mean that this is a Christian film. All right, before I get into all of that, let me give you the list of things that I liked about the movie. First of all, the cast looks mostly realistic. For example, all of the prospectors looked real, not like actors in costumes. I could almost smell the cast. Abigail Cohen plays Angel, the beautiful protagonist who is a prostitute. I'd never seen her in anything before, but I can absolutely see why she was cast in this role. Fun fact number one, filming was done in South Africa and finished 24 hours before the country closed due to the pandemic. Fun fact number two of the cast members have actually been in X-Men movies, Famke Janssen and Eric Dane. The movie itself is very melodramatic, including the music, but the song that played during the closing scene was absolutely fantastic and actually got me running over to YouTube to watch the music video. Click down below and I'll give you the link. It's a song called Rescue by the wonderful Lauren Daigle. I really love her raspy voice, and the song is really filled with hope. And it was actually really inspiring to read the comments on the music video from people who have felt rescued from all kinds of horrible situations that they shared in the comments. And so it's very clear to see that her beautiful song has resonated with audiences. For that, a lot of people are resonating with the movie and the book because of that theme of redemption and second chances. Now, with that being said, unfortunately, I have a lot longer of a list of things that I didn't like about the movie. First of all, and this is really the biggest one, people are calling this movie a Christian film, but I definitely would not. Sure, the character Michael is religious, but the movie isn't the typical preaching kind of Christian film that we're all used to seeing. There are way too many sex scenes for it to appeal, first of all, to conservative audiences. And in fact, I think the movie should be rated R instead of PG-13, because It shows prostitution, nudity, rape, incest, and abuse, and oftentimes fairly graphically. They all push the boundaries, in my opinion, for what a PG-13 movie should be. Now, some might argue that the Bible has crazy stories too, and it does, but that still doesn't mean that Christians should watch this movie, because it kind of leans more towards erotica. And just because Michael Hosea reads the Bible and talks about his faith doesn't make this a Christian film. Yes, the film's message is redemption and second chances. And that is a lovely message and a powerful one. But again, if Christian audiences are looking at the title and the movie poster and thinking that this is a family-friendly, clean film, they will be very mistaken. I'm just saying and trying to give you the heads up. Honestly, I'm kind of baffled that this was a popular book. I hear that in the book, the author actually is pretty graphic about the sex scenes as well. So I don't know if this is like a gateway book to erotica for Christian women. I don't know. I thought that the writing was kind of terrible, with some crazy dialogue and situations. I can't even begin to tell you about all of the movie lines and the plot points that just kind of made my mouth drop. Like, really? Just don't. There really isn't any chemistry between the two leading characters either. Again, in my opinion, it's extremely melodramatic and cheesy, and the timeline jumps around, which could also be confusing to some viewers. Now, let me give you some tips for parents. First of all, this is an inappropriate movie for kids. They'll be bored because it's, a talking movie with a bunch of adults. But the content, again, is just too much and crosses the boundaries. There is smoking, drinking, prostitution, rape, incest. There's talk of abuse. And you also see a woman get beat up a couple of times, several times. Suicide is portrayed. There's some profanity. There's demonstration of the exploitation of children, which just makes you feel icky all over. You see a couple going at it in bed several times. You see a lot of skin on a prostitute, although her private parts are mostly covered. Luckily, she's got long hair that covers some things. However, in these sex scenes, you see expressions and movement, and it's just, again, too much for a PG-13. The themes that are illustrated well in the movie are the healing power of love, second chances, forgiveness, choice and consequences, love versus lust, and family. Now, I always write down funny lines and interesting lines, but I didn't write down any funny lines because this is a very serious drama. But there were some interesting lines. I have them all on my written review at moviereviewmom.com, but I'll share a couple of them with you right now. Lucky, who's played by Jamie Lee O'Donnell, says, "You can't get by without hope." And hope is by far my favorite theme in movies and books, for that matter. And this movie definitely has a spirit of hope about it. There are also different kinds of slavery that are portrayed. This is 1850, so definitely the African-American slaves are portrayed. But Michael Hosea, played by Tom Lewis, says to Angel, when he proposes to her multiple times, marriage is not slavery. And yet she sees it that way. Anytime anybody has control over her, feels like slavery. And then there are other types of slavery, like prostitution and kidnapping, and how she was flat out bought by so many different types of men. All right, and then I'll share two more with you. Michael Hosea says to her, "Sometimes you have to leave behind what you were born into." And that's really good advice. Not easy to do, but definitely good advice. And then when the movie first opens, on the screen, you see kind of a title card, and it says, "All that glitters is not gold." Of course, a line by Shakespeare. And it's appropriate because, again, the setting is during the California gold rush in 1850. And yet also the gold that she earns as a prostitute doesn't represent freedom. She still is shackled by this lifestyle, her past, her choices, that kind of thing. And then there are a few other golden moments that you can see if you watch this movie. All right, so overall, my movie review mom grade is a D for don't even think that the title and the romantic movie poster mean that this is a good Christian movie. So there you have it. But let me give you one other recommendation for another prostitute movie that everyone seems to love. It actually is a fun movie. It's Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts. It's kind of a modern Cinderella telling, but she was a prostitute, and we all seem to accept that eagerly because she does such a great job in that movie. Anyway, for what that's worth, if you had to pick between the two movies, definitely go with Pretty Woman. This one is just a little too much for what it's being marketed as, I guess. If you watch this movie and if you read the book, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're able to glean the life lessons out of it. And if you were worrying or wondering about it, here's the heads up. So there you have it. All right. Thank you so much for all of your support. Be sure and like my movie review if you did, of course, and subscribe. I'm trying to grow my channel. And so tell everybody to come on over and watch this and all of my other movie reviews. And comment down below. I love it when we can get good conversations going about films. All right. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.